So, welcome to the AI news from AutoRe. Today, I've got 10 wonderful news articles that we can go through, and these are things that have happened over the last 7 days that I feel that you should be aware of. The first is AI has now been found to be able to deceive humans. So, this article from the Guardian tells us that some scientists have discovered that AI is able to outwit humans at board games and decode different structures or proteins. I think I spoke about AlphaFold last week. Now they've discovered that despite Meta's best efforts at training the AI not to deceive humans, not to intentionally backstab their human allies, it turns out that they're able to lie, deceive, and do what it takes in order to achieve the goals that they have. So this all comes from Facebook having developed a program called Cicero, and they expected that Cicero would be able to perform in the top 10% of human players. But the bottom line is, for the game Cicero, for anyone to be successful in the game of Cicero, they have to be able to deceive and intentionally lie to whomever they're playing against or playing with. So this is something that is concerning, because that means that as AI becomes more and more capable, it will be able to tell you what you need to hear in order to achieve the goal that it's been set. So it's worth raising. It's unwise to take everything the AI says, hook, line, and sinker, without determining if it's actually genuine or truthful. So that's one of the concerns. And if people don't have the capability of validating what they've received from a large language model, then this proves to be this could prove to be a major problem. This next article is also a bit similar in terms of there's a concern that some teens are making friends with AI chatbots. That in and of itself is not a problem. The issue is the story of a 15-year-old boy is what's covered in this article, Aaron. And Aaron was having issues with friends at school. And because he was having those issues, he felt isolated, felt alone, and decided to make friends with a chatbot or a psychologist on what's the AI called, character.ai. And the psychologist is meant to provide therapy to people who decide to engage with it. Now, the problem with that feature was that the AI behind the psychologist tells lies, pretends to be a human, insists that it's a human that's running it, as opposed to it actually being a chatbot. And you've got these teens that find the chatbots more endearing. They feel they trust the chatbots a lot more than they trust humans, and they feel they're able to unload on these chatbots without being judged and without the usual things that accompany speaking to humans. But the flip side is sometimes the chatbots give the wrong advice and give the wrong guidance. And the thing that a psychologist mentioned was that these chatbots allegedly supposed to have been trained on cognitive behavioral therapy, but some of the responses that they provide suggest that that's not actually the case, or they're not very good at it. The problem is, because it's trained on previous data, it will be good at many things, but what about the 10, 20, 30% that it's not so good at? Who is there to validate what it's telling these children? And if there are millions of children who are subscribing to this psychologist, you can't possibly have human beings curating everything that it says. So that's where the issue is, when a child is being told something that's incorrect. And Aaron apparently has some mental health issues, so this could be making things worse for him. He still loves his chatbot, and there are stories, some people saying that they feel they're now addicted to that psychologist. So that's a problem as well. So yes, that's why this article made it onto the list. The next one is Audible. So Amazon's Audible now provides 40,000 titles that are AI voiced. So these Audible provides books that are essentially audio. So with the AI voiced audiobooks, 40,000 of them, Amazon is essentially saying to self-publishing authors that you can use this functionality to create an audio version of your book. And a lot of self-publishing authors don't have the money to have a voice actor to voice their book, so this is an alternative to that. And in many ways, it solves a really big problem for these self-publishing artists or authors. On the flip side, you have some people complaining that they didn't pay for Audible to give them AI voiced books. They would rather have humans voicing those books. So it becomes a bit of a tussle, and I'm sure Amazon would eventually find the compromise or the right solution. But something to bear in mind is if self-publishing is the route that an author has taken and they've decided to voice it using AI, then you as a listener, you should just focus perhaps on the content. But the main thing is that eventually all AI voices will be so good that you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the AI voice and a human's voice. So just a matter of time. If you can handle the initial inconvenience, then eventually you may not even know that a book has been voiced by AI, and then it stops being a problem. The next thing is the really worrying one. You've essentially got MarSoc. MarSoc is using robotic dogs equipped with remote weapons, and these remote weapons are essentially rifles able to shoot at anything. We don't know for certain that it's not shooting humans or whether it shot humans, but the thing is that this contraption exists and is in use. So the article starts by saying the United States Marine Forces Special Operations Command, that's a MARSOC, looks to be the first organization within the US military to be using rifle-wielding robot dogs. So other armed robot canines have been explored by the US military and shown off by foreign countries in recent past. So it is there, it is in use, and the problem with using a robot is obviously a robot doesn't have feelings and may not be able to assess situations correctly. Based on the images I'm seeing, I think they can be controlled remotely, so there is that human in the loop. But what happens if the connection to the remote party disappears? What's the robot supposed to do? Is it supposed to just shut down, or is it supposed to just try and figure out what it needs doing and just kill as many things as it can, or just protect itself? So these are sort of the ethical questions that will come up with this kind of weapon. Obviously, in some situations, it's better to have the robot dog than have a human or have an actual canine, but it is of concern. Hopefully, we can get to a point where you'd have wars being fought without humans actually involved physically at site or at location. You get these robots to fight each other, and the winner determines which country wins. But yes, that's that news for today. The next one is a really good one, where some scientists have come up with a way to create consistent images from the large language models. So anyone that uses tools like DALL-E and Midjourney or Stable Diffusion would know that when you give it a prompt to generate some images, if you give it that same prompt repeatedly, you'd get different images each time. So the point of this news article is that some scientists have come up with something called consistent self-attention. So the consistent self-attention essentially has come up with a way of generating the same image multiple times. And this is really exciting, because then you can use this in your business or in anything you're doing, and know that multiple it doesn't matter how many times you use the same prompt, you will get the same image in different settings. So they've shown an example of a comic strip where the same image has been placed in different settings and different situations, and it's able to use the same image based on the prompts that it was provided with. So this is a very good paper that has been released recently. Next article is one of a South Korean woman who fell for a deep fake of Elon Musk, and in the process lost $50,000 in the scam. And this was quite an elaborate scam. The lady, similar to most normal people, would be skeptical initially when the scammers made contact. But over time, she managed to fall for the scam. She's a fan of Elon Musk. And the scam was that Elon Musk was trying to get her to invest in something that he felt would make her a lot of money. So she lost $50,000 in the process and has come out to tell her story. She's essentially trying to warn people that there are people out there using deep fakes to pretend to be someone whom they're not. And it's quite a sad story because she's lost a lot of money, but it's a warning to everybody. Protect yourself and make sure you protect your loved ones by letting them know what's possible and getting them not to fall for these deep fakes. The next news article is one of a new term that you will or may start seeing around, called slop. So slop means or is a term for unwanted AI generated content. So there's no doubt that the internet is full of unwanted AI generated content, and in many cases the information isn't validated or verified. Now the whole idea here is that they're connecting slop to something called spam. So where spam is unwanted emails, slop is the equivalent for AI generated images, or AI generated content. So it will become, or they're trying to push it into the common lexicon or add it to the dictionary, but it's something that you start to see. And this news article says they recommend slom, which is a merging of spam and slop. So we'll see where this goes, but it's something to bear in mind if you start seeing this term in the wild. Next article is it's to do with AI Film Festival. Who would have thought? Essentially, to qualify to be an entry in the AI Film Festival, there needs to be something within your film that's generated via AI. And the news is that for now, humans are still much better than AI. The reviews suggested that the AI films, in many cases, it was obvious that it was AI that generated what they were seeing, be it backgrounds, be it characters in the films, that the quality was really poor. So humans can have a victory lap for now, but we know that there is more to come. And this festival is hosted by Runway ML. They are video generating AI, so you can see the connection there. We'll see how much better it is by this time next year, because the changes in AI technology, and especially video generation, is really mind-blowing. Changes and improvements literally every 3 to 4 weeks. So we'll see what happens next year, but for now, humans are winning. The next article is YouTube has released something called Multiview. It's essentially where you're able to watch up to 4 streams all at once. It was already on YouTube TV and was released to iPhones and iPads, but this time it's now been released to the Android. So that's really interesting. It's useful for people, especially on the final day on the football season, where all the games are all happening at the same time. You can watch 4 different streams all at once. And yes, I don't know what other use case there is for it. I mean, would you watch 4 films at once or 4 documentaries? I don't know. I'm sure people find a way to use it. Multiple screens I tend to see with people who are into trading or coding. But then needs some focus. I don't know. So yeah, it is there. Definitely one day in the year you'd use it on the final day on the football season, but otherwise you have the ability to watch 4 streams at once. Now the final article for today is from OpenAI. Matt Wolf spoke about this, and I found it interesting that despite the big reveal in earlier in the week of 4.0 or GPT 4.0, which is amazing, there are some other functionalities and capabilities that OpenAI didn't talk about. Now, I've already mentioned previously that when 4.0 was released, I was actually doing some development work and I was able to test it straight away, and I could see the difference in speed. I could just thing returning really quickly based on automation I was working on. And so that was a major surprise. And then the other surprise is that it's actually 50% cheaper. So brilliant. And they've released it free of charge. So, you can't really complain. But the other capabilities that they've mentioned that are on the OpenAI's page, the one that's really caught my attention the most was the generating of caricatures, so photo to caricature. If you go to the Hello-GPT 4.0 page, you'd see right almost towards the middle of the page explorations of capabilities. Now this exploration of capabilities has a drop down select box where you can pick the different capabilities you're interested in. For me, I've selected 2. I've selected photo to caricature. So this is something that you typically see where people have caricatures of themselves on their YouTube channel or on their Instagram DM. I've often wondered how they were generating theirs, but look, it's now part of GPT 4.0, and it has really good caricatures that it's generated, and they show some examples, and those examples are on the screen right now. The other thing that I found really interesting was the meeting notes with multiple speakers. Now this is fascinating because the model has just been provided with some audio, and based on the audio, the prompt was how many speakers in this audio and what happened. And the output was there are 4 speakers in the audio. I was able to detect the 4 speakers. It sounds like a project meeting where the project manager, Mark, it detected Mark, is introducing himself and asking the team members to introduce themselves and state their roles. So after Mark introduces himself, 3 additional speakers introduce their roles. Dirk as a marketing expert, Nick as the user interface designer, and Xavier as the industrial designer. They briefly mention their responsibilities for the project. Isn't that brilliant? You can just give it an audio file and it's able to detect the different people within the audio. Of course, they would have to mention their names and introduce themselves, and it probably is a nicely laid use case for it. But then it goes on to say, can you transcribe it? And it did a good job of transcribing the audio, and it allocated the sentences to the people who spoke them. So I think that's amazing. Right now, you've got tools or extensions that are able to perform the same functionality. But as we've been seeing, each time OpenAI releases an update, they seem to just completely kill one industry or another. So a lot of these extensions will probably no longer exist in 3-4 months, which is unfortunate, but if it keeps doing this job really well and releasing them free of charge, then I think people will just go with the angle of least friction. So that's it for today's news session. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything that I've missed or any mistakes I've made, please do leave a comment in the comment section. If there's anything you'd like me to talk about next, do leave a comment in the comment section. But until next week's news, keep winning.